Hello everybody, my name is Yaku. I'm currently a resident in Canada, originally from South Africa. I met Ashraf about 3 years ago when I joined his self-empowerment program called the Blissful Living Teachings. It has changed me, my outlook on life, and my life itself in leaps and bounds. I'm experiencing myself as more joyful, freer, and more at peace than I've ever been before, and I'm looking forward to the journey ahead. Today I'm honored to interview Ashraf on the first Universal Bliss workshop we had. In this interview we will cover topics on trances, what a trance is, the beggar, the addict, the victim archetypes, and also the difference between fourth and fifth dimensional living. Ashraf, my first question is, through your experience you've observed that people operate as beggars, addicts and victims, and you attribute that to trances. Can you clarify trances, and also what do you mean by a beggar, an addict and a victim?
Thank you so much, Yaku, for that question. Yes, in my experience working with people for over 20 years as a therapist and as a teacher, you must remember I'm not just a therapist, psychological therapist, but I'm a spiritual teacher as well. And in my experience, I've observed people to operate as beggars, addicts, and victims. So these are archetypes. So somebody might operate as a beggar, but they might have food and clothing and money, and they might think, but I'm not a beggar, because typically beggars, if you look at them, you observe them to be in lack of food, and clothing is shabby, and the way they carry themselves in the world, it's very easy to observe a beggar archetype. Anywhere in the world you go, and if you come across a beggar, you will know that is a beggar, because everybody recognizes the beggar archetype. So coming back, in my experience, in 2 decades working with people, I observe people to have these 3 archetypes. People who have difficulties and challenges, they have the beggar archetype, they have the addict archetype. We also know typically what an addict is, like we recognize typically what a beggar is. And an addict is somebody who is abusing either substances or food, consuming, overdoing it, and they might be engaged in certain activities like gambling or sexual promiscuity, out of control basically. So their lives reflecting an out of controlness about them, being out of control. And we recognize that as, okay, this person is a shady looking guy, you can't trust him, he's not right in his mind, you can see you can't trust them. The view that we have is that red-eyed, glossy-eyed looking person that's shady and talking in a very con artist kind of way. You can't trust, they let you down. So we know what a typical addict looks like, in the worst case what an alcoholic looks like, out of control, losing stability in their lives and their lives falling apart. And a victim, typically we know the archetype of a victim, and that's really somebody who is, something bad has happened to them, and they feel victimized, they feel overpowered. So whether it's victims of ... whatever it is, victims of abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, somebody seems to have overpowered them, and they had nothing to do with it, and they feel powerless. And that's a bit extreme, but also somebody who feels like something is happening to them, that they playing no role in it, that they got no choice basically in the matter. And we're going to look at that archetype as well of the victim. So these are the 3 basic archetypes that I have seen in my work over 20 years with people. And as I said to you at the beginning, that this is not your typical archetypes. Of course, somebody can really be a beggar in the typical sense, or an addict in a typical sense, or a victim in a typical sense. But all of us, to some degree or another, especially when we are unconscious, especially when we are in trances, we present in a way of being a beggar, not in a typical sense, but having that element of needing, I need something, I'm lacking something. Like a beggar would say, give me money. I'm focused externally and I'm trying to get money. When I get money, I will be okay. When I get love, I will be okay. So you can have a money beggar, a love beggar, a happiness beggar. That, when somebody makes me happy, and, I'll be happy. I depend on somebody for something. Money, love, changing, things for me. And so we can find ourselves identified with that archetype when we feel like something is needed for us to be okay. Without it, we're not okay. We're lacking something. And I call that the belief in need. And so what causes somebody to identify with that archetype or demonstrate that archetype? It may be typically like a beggar, you see them on the streets, but it generally in my work, it's somebody who might have money and have clothes and have food, but they're beggars on their jobs, like I need this job. Or they're beggars on money, I need this money. I need this in some way. I need this person. I need this person to love me. So wherever there's a belief in need, a person will experience themselves as lacking and will focus externally to meet that need, and that is a trance. So we answer the question like, what are these patterns, archetypes, and what is trances? So a trance is an identification with a belief, a mental belief, an identification with a misperception. So somebody who believes that they need renders themselves a beggar. And somebody who believes that they need to change something, or they need something to change so that they don't feel bad. So the beggar says, I need something, then I'll be okay. Without it, I'm not okay. Or I need to get rid of something, then I'll be okay. With it, I'm not okay. So as an example, somebody might say, I need money, and if I have money, I'll be okay. It's not really true. You are okay without the money. With the money, you can be more satisfied. But they believe that without the money, I'm not okay. And they might move on to the addict, which might let's look at another example of that. So I need the money, then I'll be okay. I think a lot of people can understand that one. I'm not okay without the money. If I can't pay bills, I'm not okay. The other one might be, if I've got this disease, I'm not okay. Only if I get rid of this disease, if my body doesn't present in the way that it's been presenting, then I'll be okay. I need to get rid of this. I need to get rid of this in my life, in my body, then I'll be okay. So we want to observe that as a trance, because you don't need anything to get it or to get rid of it for you to be okay, because you are already okay. Remember, the earth is spinning, you're breathing, you're actually okay. Money doesn't cause the earth to spin, nor does a disease cause the earth to slow down. So we don't really need anything as much as we believe we do, and then we render ourselves powerless in a trance that causes us to focus externally into this world. Suddenly you're obsessed with money and trying to get it. Suddenly you're obsessed with your disease and trying to get rid of it, reacting to what's going on. So that's being a beggar in the archetypal form. The addict, as I was getting into, was somebody who feels like I need something to change, then I won't feel bad. If I change something, I'll feel bad. Things, while they are, I'm unhappy about it. I feel unhappy. If I get rid of this unhappiness, I'll feel good. So typically the beggar will take drugs to change their moods, consume something, eat something to experience bodily sensations. Even sex can be addictive because of the arousal and the orgasm that somebody might become highly dependent on to feel good. They don't feel good naturally. So somebody might feel like if I get rid of a feeling, if I get rid of something, then I won't feel bad. Or if I cause a feeling, then I'll feel good. I'll cause myself to feel good, stimulated through food, through sexual activity, in different ways. I just got to either get rid of something, then I won't feel bad. And if I cause something, I'll feel good. I'll be happy if and when. So the addict is all about control. I want to change the way things are. And they control by what's going on in the world. They're trying to control what's going on in their world. They're trying to control their feelings. and therefore they're out of control. So the addict will, while the beggar always is in lack, the addict will be in an experience of unhappiness, and will be characterized by trying to get rid of the unhappiness through control and over-controlling and being controlled. And so addiction is really about a loss of control as they try to control. So we got 1 and 2 done, the beggar and the addict. And the victim is a person who really doesn't choose and make choices. So by not choosing and making choices, they choose to not choose, they choose to not participate in their life. And if anybody doesn't participate in their life, your life doesn't progress. And they then experience a life that is not only not progressing, but regressing, and they might feel like they got nothing to do with what's going on, the regression in their life, and so they feel victims, victimized. And they feel like, if I can get something, sort this out, I'll be okay. So this problem I'm having, I got to sort it out. And if I sort it out, I'll be okay. So this person is causing me to feel bad. I need to change their behaviors because I don't like the way they're behaving. And then I won't have a problem. The victim is about projecting power out. The victim is about blaming others. That the victim is into excitement. So the beggar archetype is falsely trying to get to security, but experiences instead safety, which is not the same. The addict, in trying to get to feel good, they try to avoid feeling bad, and that is really a kind of relief in some way. And that's not real ease, no real ease. And the victim, in trying to blame somebody and try to get somebody or something to be different, then I won't have a problem anymore, and then I'll get what I want. I'll get what I want when somebody is different and when something is different. It's got nothing to do with me. It's got to do with somebody and something. So that's also a belief. It's a trance. And what happens is that person is into excitement. Like, it's not me. I had nothing to do with this. I am not taking any responsibility. But everybody is responsible for their experiences because of the energy they put out. So there we have it. All the 3 archetypes covered. And the beliefs and the misperceptions that they have that are lies, that are not really true, is the unconsciousness that results in the beggar archetype, the addict archetype, and the victim archetype. And so a trance is a misperception, it's a belief, it's a limiting belief. For example, I need something, then I'll be okay. Without something, I'm not okay. Or I need to get rid of something, then I'm okay. Basically saying, I'm not okay now. I'll be okay when. That's a lie. It's a trance. And once you're in that trance, it feels very true, but it's not really true, but it feels very true. And then you act like it's true, and you live like it's true, and you cause yourself to actually be a beggar, needy, and you cause yourself to lack. In the addict's case, the trance is, I can avoid feeling bad, I feel bad about things, and so if I get things to be different, I don't have to feel bad. By avoiding feeling bad, I'll feel good. The addict is a trance of happiness. I'll feel happy when? By not feeling unhappy. So what causes me to be unhappy? Let me get rid of it. Then I won't be unhappy, I'll be happy. And if I get something, I'll be happy. But we know that joy, security, satisfaction, because the addict, in going for relief, keeps themselves from satisfaction. And we know that satisfaction is more than just somebody or something changing in the world. Satisfaction comes from a secure person getting involved in ease and joy and experiencing ease, joy, enjoyment, and that leads to satisfaction. And the third part was the victim, that I have nothing to do with this. That's not really true. You have everything to do with every experience of your life because of who you're being, how you're interacting, how you're living, how you're focusing. So these are lies that the beggar and the addict and the victim believe, that the victim says, I got nothing to do with this. It's happening to me. Somebody else must change. Something else must be different. Then I won't be unfulfilled. It's not my it's not because of me I'm unfulfilled. It's got nothing to do with me. It's a lie. It's got everything. So these are the 3 trance states or archetypes that are trance-based, and we looked at the trance. And the correction of the trance is basically trance-free living, to observe the misperception for what it is, that it's a belief, it's a misperception, it's not really true, to observe it and disidentify from it, and actually to experience the natural state of security, going beyond the beggar into a believer, and to observe the trances of being an addict, and to go beyond them and then be an adult, and to observe the trance of being a victim, and to go beyond it, being a vicegerent or a victor, working with source energy, working with universal intelligence to actually attract higher quality people, things and experiences, and experiencing higher quality experiences in life. So we can go from trances, which all of us are to some degree or another. Every human being is in a fallen state to some degree or another of unconsciousness, beliefs that are in our collective psyche that we can undo, go beyond, and experience trance-free living, which is what truth teachings are all about, trance-free living. So thank you so much for that question. It was a great question. Appreciate that.